Whether it's a drought in one portion of the country or deadly floods in another, people are beginning to wonder what is going on in our land. For people like Evangelist Graham Lotz, the recent flood in Texas became personal.
You know, John, I just ache for what's going on. My son-in-law actually is from Houston, and his parents were trapped in a hotel. They had spent the night there for a conference. When his mother went down in the lobby to get a cup of coffee in the morning, there were 1,000 people in the lobby just lined up like cordwood, because they had gotten trapped after the Rangers game. It was personal for us, praying for people who couldn't get home or who tried to, and now they can't be found.
The founder of Angel Ministries and the author of almost a dozen books, Graham Lotz believes as the culture turns away from God, we should expect even more storms.
In the Old Testament, when God wanted to get his people's attention, he would send them an environmental disaster. When they no longer listened to his word or his prophets, he would send them an environmental disaster, something to say, look up here, turn to me, repent of your sin. And so I think until God's people turn to God and cry out to him, then we may be seeing not only more environmental storms, but storms on every level, actually.
Graham Lotz directs us to his holy word for proof of what is happening and why we should cry out to the Lord as we go through the storms of life.
That reminds me of Matthew 14. The disciples had been put into the boat by Jesus. So it was after he had fed the crowd, and he put them in the boat. So they were in God's will, you could say. And then he went up to pray in the mountain. When they were in the boat on the Sea of Galilee, a storm came up, and they were afraid for their lives. He watched them. He saw them that they were in the storm, and then he came to them walking on the water. When they saw him walking on the water, all of a sudden it got worse because they thought he was a ghost. And then he told them not to be afraid. It was he. And so they cried out to him and invited him to come into their boat in the middle of the storm. And when they did, he came into their boat, and then there was peace. He calmed the storm.
She believes that many times the storms inside can be as intense as the storms on the outside.
Sometimes storms come into our lives. It can be a storm of divorce or death or disease or, an environmental storm. But when the storm comes, sometimes with that comes an emotional storm. I think sometimes the storms on the inside of us are worse than the storms on the outside of us. But when the storm comes, if we'll cry out to Jesus and say, Jesus, please come into my storm, come into my boat. I invite you into my marriage. I invite you into my home. He can come into our situation, and the circumstances may not change, but he can bring us peace on the inside.
Graham Lotz believes if we have peace on the inside, we can handle the storms outside. This is John Clemens.